Hello everyone, welcome to a channel update for Tortuga Power. Just going to talk about some of the current content on the channel and then plans for the future or upcoming content. One of the things which will be, hopefully, Silent Hunter 3. I've been rolling around in my brain for a while now the idea of doing a playthrough on Silent Hunter 3 because it's a game I enjoy and I play. However, there's a drawback that Silent Hunter 3 is one of those games that is pretty well played already, and there's a lot of people doing good stuff on it. Now, other things that I want to talk about in this video are Advanced Tactics Gold, Distant Worlds Universe very briefly, Rule the Waves, Project Zomboid very briefly, and then just what I would do for Silent Hunter 3 itself. So in this, to kind of set up what's going to be going on in this video while I'm blabbing about those various things, I am actually in the English channel, which you can probably see, which is already absurd. The reason for this is it's the very beginning of the war. September 6th, I left before war with France or England had even begun. I left, I think, on September 1st, so when we went to war with Poland. And I thought I could actually make it into the strait before war began, but that wasn't the case, especially because I got sidetracked. Now, anyways, I just passed under cover of dark, of course. I don't think there's any reason why you'd go through the Strait of Dover without it being nighttime. And this is very ahistorical, I want to mention right away. Well, it's not ahistorical that U-boats went through the English Channel in the very opening months of the war, but most of them were discouraged from doing so by some pretty intense minefields that were just outside the Strait of Dover. I know 3 U-boats were sunk there in October, and after that, U-boats continued already the established pattern of moving around the north of Great Britain in order to get to their raiding zones, which were in the Atlantic. Now, I'm ignoring that partially because people didn't really. I mean, there were a few U-boats who were, I guess, stupid enough to go through the English Channel in the very beginning of the war. And I made it without encountering any minefields, or at least my submarine was not struck by them. I want to mention that in this, I won't necessarily be playing with all the same options, realism-wise, that I'll be playing with in a Let's Play series, but I have almost every option for realism enabled, which does include external camera, which is one of the two that I will never ever turn off external camera. I love watching my submarine, even when it is illuminated by a searchlight of a merchant which we just began shelling. I had to verify that this was the Union Jack before I opened up. I didn't do this with external camera, of course, but I opened my first few shots. The thing is, I've only fired 2 shells. Let's see if I can pull up I here. I cannot. Let me see if I can do this. Yes. No. If I pause, will it drop away? Maybe. So we have 107 and 110. So that's good. Basically, that just shows you I've only fired 3 shells. So we just began lobbing shells from this distance. And before that, this ship had not seen me. Which just shows you the amazing, I don't know if this was modeled in, if there's a ramp-up period for crew awareness. Because I got within like half a kilometer of these guys before beginning to barrage them. And most of that I spent with my bow head on from them, because that's your least visible profile. Obviously your most visible profile is from the side, but you're not entirely visible from the head on. So you're just a little tower in the water, just a little buoy in the water, very hard to see. Very different from your side perspective. Anyway, I got up right next to them and we begun shelling. So now when I start talking about advanced tactics, distant worlds, all these things, I'm just going to continue this deck gun barrage, but I just want to make it well known that I know how ahistorical, just so I don't discourage people from even watching this, I know how absurd this is. And part of the reason why I even chose to engage this merchant ship at all is because I am about equidistant from the 2 nearest ports. I don't know how to say this very well, but Le Havre, or Le Havre, I don't know. I'm pretty sure French has always been, as people who watch my Rule the Waves series know, it's my least favorite foreign language to pronounce. I don't feel like I'm terrible with German. I'm not good by any stretch of the imagination, but at least I have some sense. I have none for French. Anyway, I'm halfway between Le Havre, or whatever it is, and Dover. So these are the two nearest ports, and we're a pretty good distance away. I mean, maybe not directly as the bird flies, like this is only, but still it's over 100 kilometers away. Brighton doesn't have a port, at least not in Silent Hunter 3, which probably just means it doesn't have a main port there during World War II. I honest to God don't remember what Brighton. I know Portsmouth would, Portland, yes, Plymouth. These are the ones I would remember, but not anything about Brighton. Anyway, so we're going to be doing this deck gun assault in the middle of the channel in the very beginning of the war, which is just hilarious because we didn't encounter any minefields here, which we would have normally, and we're in the middle of the English Channel, which is like a big hush-hush, get the hell out of there as fast as possible zone for U-boats, and I'm in the middle of engaging a merchant ship with my deck guns on the surface. It's just kind of just set up how absurd this situation is, and to acknowledge I know how absurd that is. But hey, I am playing with all the realism options, so it is dangerous for me to do this. It's not like I'm trying to cheat my way into it. It's just a risky thing, which after scanning and using hydrophones and everything, I detect no other ships, so I think that it's okay for us to do. So if something major happens during this, I might have a real sidetrack time trying to talk about the other things I want to do. But let's go ahead and begin, or continue I should say, the fourth and beyond hits on this merchant ship, and I'll begin talking about advanced tactics. So we just finished up a series on Advanced Tactics Gold. Really all I'm waiting for in order to finish that is my father. I just want to give him one last cameo with a concluding video, just to wrap it up. It was a really fun multiplayer series. I want to say that most of the time I don't play multiplayer, and I especially never thought I would record a multiplayer session. Let's blow out their stupid spotlight. There, take that. I never thought I'd actually do a series on a multiplayer game. I'm very competitive in real life, and I prefer my competition to be in real life sports. So video games are really a form of relaxation for me, which is the reason why I don't really enjoy getting like super competitive. So that's my philosophy on it. Let me real fast. This deck gun is gonna get pretty loud and annoying, I think, if I let it go forever at this volume. So let me just trim it down a smidge more. Maybe even this will be okay. Yeah, okay, let's try this. Just so I don't have to talk over it too much. Okay, so I'll continue. So it was interesting for me to do an Advanced Tactics Gold multiplayer series. Much more challenging. A lot of fun. Anyway, we'll bring that to a close after my father is available for one last video. And then I think I'm going to continue with a tutorial series on it, because I've done like 3 or 4 playthroughs, but I know that one of my I sense one of the things I'm good at doing is tutorializing different content. So I think it'll be nice to get more people involved or interested, or for people who've seen the series but are like, what is this? I don't know how to play. Just to give them something they can sink their teeth into, which I guess would be kind of a hands-on tutorial series like what I'm doing with Distant Worlds Universe, which I guess will take me directly to Distant Worlds Universe. I'm currently still in the process of doing that tutorial series. It's very slow going because it takes me, I'm not joking, like 10 or more takes to get it, to quote-unquote get it right. That's just that's a lot of takes. Let me get us to turn a little bit. Actually, let's go this way. Yeah. So because it takes so many takes for me to get it right, it does slow down that series quite a bit. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but it's just the way the cookie crumbles. If you want to have good quality and you're not good at doing things right on the first try, you just have to do multiple tries. So, and I enjoy the content. I really think that the Distant Worlds Universe tutorial will probably go for at least another 5 episodes so that I can get people at least in the mid-game. Once you're in the mid-game, I think you generally have a sense of what to do, because at that point it's just kind of people are static, empires are static, and you just go to war. With the only late-game concept which you really need to be aware of is refueling or resupply ships, stuff like that. Just a quick Silent Hunter 3 in-game note. You have to watch your gun. You can see that it bobs up and down with the waves. that actually affects your accuracy. So I'm going to catch it on the down so that I can actually aim as low as I want. And that waterline hit there is perfect. So now it's up, now it's down, we fire. It's not going to get there in time, so we raise. If I was to fire now, it would be over, we fall, fire again, perfect. Okay, and I don't have these ships sinking quickly, so I won't have any idea when it's actually going to sink. I'm just going to put more than enough shells in it for it to go down because I don't really care about my shell count. Most of the sinking obviously going to be done with torpedoes. So, okay, now on to Distant Worlds. Just the one concluding thing about it is I do want to do a actual Let's Play series on that soon. So, especially if there's any interest in that. I know Das is currently doing a series on it, but he plays very differently from me. He plays with automation on, I think, a little bit, and he doesn't really min-max his forces that much. So, I think it would be a pretty different exposure to see the difference between a playthrough like his and a playthrough like mine. Last, I want to say, I think that's everything about Distant Worlds Universe, actually, so we'll move on to Rule the Waves. I'm doing this Austria-Hungary campaign, which I originally expected would be kind of a dud, or I wasn't expecting it to be a dud, just I didn't think there would be much interest in it. But it turns out that this has been one of my most fun campaigns to date. I mean, I just didn't think there would be a lot of fun with it. So this has really inspired me to continue the Rule the Waves content too, because one thing about me is I don't really care how many views I have. If you've noticed, I also don't monetize my channel. I don't have any advertisements. The reason for this is I don't think I gain enough money on these small videos. That's not the point of me doing it. It's never been about gaining money, and I think a lot of people are losing that with all these. I joke about this cry for Patreon. Everyone's on Patreon now, and God knows that is laughing at me, probably thinking how silly I am. Maybe one day I will also be on Patreon, but I don't see that, like, not within a year, maybe not within 2 years, maybe probably never. But it's just kind of a joke that I see all these people just trying to gain money. And that's never been what video content is about for me. It's always been just about doing stuff for fun. And there's no trade-off for me. Work is still number one. It's not like an idea of mine to go full-time video games. So that's not, I don't need Patreon to do that. Very good, she's going down, which means probably she was going down for a long time. So that means that we should get our bridge recrewed with some people. This is, by the way, my least favorite mechanic about Silent Hunter 3, the crew management. I might, for my mod series, I'll talk about this more when I talk about Silent Hunter 3, I might try to do some kind of cheat just to give them all experience so that they never lose endurance. I'm already happy playing with the reduced ability to detect ships, like the lower sensors and the lower crew viewing percentage or whatever, one of the options for realism. I'm quite happy to do that. I'm just not so happy to constantly have to replace. It's just very tedious, you know. It doesn't serve a purpose having to move people around when they lose endurance, and you know, it's just silly to me. So I'd rather just have people. I'd rather not have to micromanage this aspect of it. I'd rather that my chief, whatever, that these guys just, the watch officer, all these people just should just stay where they're at until we, you know, dive in the case of the bridge, or it's annoying to deal with that. Okay, so we sunk our first ship in the middle of the channel, which is just so silly. Anyway, we'll continue back at full, just to be get us out of the channel as fast as possible, because we are going to have to dive for some of the daylight portion. It's just so dangerous to try to squeeze between Portsmouth, Portland, and Cherbourg in the middle of the day, which is, it looks like the time frame will be passing by there. So we'll probably dive for at least half of our oxygen before we resurface to try to eliminate the possibility of us being detected. Okay, so Rule the Waves, I've had a lot of fun with that series. It's inspired me to do another series. I think the next one we're going to do is going to be Confederate USA. Because I think that'll be another interesting. I've always talked about doing Japan. Japan's is a very cool nation to play as. So those are the two that I was trying to choose between. I think for that, those are the ideas. The other idea is I could go with like a Great Britain, because a lot of the fun of that game is getting these massive naval engagements. And as we saw from the Austro-Hungarian playthrough, I almost lost the campaign just due to... Oh, we can clear this, by the way. Those are no longer important. I almost lost due to being blockaded. And that probably won't happen if I don't play as Austria-Hungary, because no other nation has shares. None of these other nations, like Japan... Well, I guess the Confederate doesn't share a home zone with the United States, but if we go to war with them, they'll have an easy time moving fleets down there. But as long as you don't share a home port with another nation, I think it's conceivable that you won't get blockaded, or you can defeat it. Okay, so that's about Rule the Waves. Project Zomboid, I've really enjoyed that series. It's been a lot of fun. Let's have our watch staff on board, right? These guys are good as far as endurance goes. Let's get this last one replaced to give us a little bit of boost. Every little bit counts. Okay, he's spinning. Oh man. So yeah, we're gradually losing. I don't have enough officers to cycle. I can only have one in a quarters at a time. So these guys will just gradually... There might be a point later on when I'm actually in my patrol zone, way over here, where I can try to rest multiple people and just kind of chill out. But I think when you're on the surface, it just makes sense to have a watch officer so you don't get, you know, detected and closed upon very quickly. Maybe I'll just have to be visible on the Uzo or with my binoculars. I don't know. Alright, so let's go. Project Zomboid is a lot of fun, has been a nice break, a nice change of pace for me, because I do a lot of these war games, and that's what Silent Hunter 3 would also be, is a change of pace from the Rule of the Waves, the advanced tactics. Oh, I wanted to mention Hearts of Iron 3 as well. Hearts of Iron 3, I'm postponing that series just because with the release of Hearts of Iron 4, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to start a Hearts of Iron 3 campaign. I plan on doing it maybe at the beginning of July, or maybe a week into July, just because right now everyone's playing Hearts of Iron 4, and I think that for good reason, there's a lot of hype around that. And let there be. Hearts of Iron 4, from what I can tell, is a great game. I'm not sure I'm going to prefer it over Hearts of Iron 3, from what I've seen. I think there's not like one which is obviously better. That Hearts of Iron 4 has things it certainly improves upon compared to Hearts of Iron 3. But if you're more of a min-max control freak, you may prefer a lot of the more in-depth options available to you in Hearts of Iron 3, whereas Hearts of Iron 4 is kind of moving in the direction of being less risky. Hearts of Iron has always been a game about slider management and tedious movement of troops and orders of battle and all this stuff, and you know, they made it in an intelligent move. Paradox took a lot of that stuff out, but if you got used to all that stuff, if you took the time to learn it, you might be disappointed that now it's removed. So that's enough about Hearts of Iron 3. Project Zomboid just changed the pace. A lot of fun. I think I'm just going to continue it until, let's see, we have Tortuga, who died and was replaced by Turtle. Turtle, who died and was replaced by Tortoise. And Tortoise might have one more relative, but after Tortoise and one more, we certainly don't want to keep that going forever. Especially because as you go more and more days into the apocalypse, the world becomes too formed, and if you weren't the one who formed it, if you create a new character on like day 15, it doesn't feel quite the same because you've already done 15 days of work, but your character is starting fresh. So I would rather just start a new campaign after Tortoise and whatever person comes after him dies. But that has been a lot of fun, and my plan for that is to get into crafting stuff as soon as possible. We're trying to do cooking already, and the next thing up is just to start cutting down some trees with an axe, get our crafting skill up for building walls or whatever. And they did add, I think it's already in, an update that allows you to update a construction. Previously, you had to wait for your construction skill to be like perfect before you build walls, because if you build a wall that with a lower construction skill and then you get to a higher construction skill, the only way to update that wall is to destroy it and rebuild it. But I think they've changed that now. I'm not sure. Let's actually go a little faster. Got to get out of here as fast as possible though, so that's why I'm going full. I reserve flank. I don't know if it's modeled into this game. I suspect it's not, but you would cause some... Oh my gosh, we have to return to course. In fact, let's just lower this course down here. I know that there's a reason why I chose that area, but I'm going to do this now instead. I don't know if you can discern this, but there's little lighter patches and darker patches. These are just the depth of the ocean. So if you can see this little imprint, it's so hard to see on my monitor, but it might be easier for you to see. You can actually tell that we're going to try to stay in the deeper water. So I'm trying to make this pass over to here, from there over to this new deep water, because I prefer the French side. The British side has more ships in my opinion and better armed ships, so I do prefer to stay a little bit closer to the French rather than the British. Anyway, oh shoot, that was warship, I'm pretty sure. So periscope depth we go. What kind of ship was it? I will get my observation scope up. Okay, so let's talk about Silent Hunter 3 then, since now things are just going terrible for us. It is a, please be a patrol boat. I saw it. I think I saw it. 22, isn't it over here? You can't see it from, oh, I got a little icon for it. The fact that it's dipping and dodging means it's probably a patrol boat. Oh, okay, good. Now we're going to periscope depth. Let's just raise this way up so I can try to get some visibility on it. Oh, we need to cut down our speed as well, because that would, we don't want to tear our periscope. There, I think I saw it. And this is good because we'll also get hydrophone read on it. I think it's enough off of our bow that we should be able to have access to it. Ah, okay, this one's moving very fast, but constant distance 342. Did I miss it? Nowhere in sight for me. So Silent Hunter 3 has a lot of different mods, and this adds to like the challenge of doing a Let's Play series with it, because there's so many different options. Like, what do you choose? I want to leave it up to you guys. Well, I don't know about if I will actually leave it up to you guys, but I want to at least give you a choice or some options to vote for that I think the best out there. I'm of the mind that maybe I should do the War Ace campaign, which seems like a really good one. Other options, though, are this one, which is the Grey Wolves expansion, and that's probably one of the most popular ones because it was done first, so it's like the first great Uber mod overhaul. There's also Not Your Grandmother's mod, and there's the current one, which has a lot of popularity besides the War Ace campaign, WAC, is this Living Silent Hunter, which I don't know anything about. I mean, I've read the mod description, but nothing else. So let me just take our periscope down, and it looks like they're far enough away that we'll be okay. I'm going to ping very quickly, depth on their keel. I don't want to cheat, but let's actually take her down. It doesn't look like any of these people are actually moving towards us, though. Now, they're probably reacting because we did kill a ship in the middle of the British Channel. But anyways, those are the options available to me as far as mods go. But if you have your own recommendations of what to add, feel free to submit it. If you don't submit it, just you have to assume I don't know about it already. So I guess that's going to bring this video to a close. Okay, they're reasonably close. So I'm going to do a turn to the south, because I think this one's moving north. Let's go ahead and dive a little deeper as well. Prepare ourselves for a really deep dive. But also turning a little bit is going to help us. Let's go, let's do maybe a 270. Let's go 240. Yeah. That's also going to help us. I feel like it's going to help us detect them with hydrophones as well. Yeah, this one looks like it's moving north. Okay, so since they're not moving our way, I'm going to just go ahead. This is one thing I love to do. I just love to see these ships moving around. So we'll probably stay underwater for... Oh my gosh, it's already almost daytime. Well, We don't want to move too much then. Let's head only 260, just so we can keep moving out of the channel. But let's go ahead and take a look at what these guys were. I don't know if we'll be able to see them or not. Obviously it's getting to be daytime, which is bad, but maybe we'll get a glimpse of these ships moving around. I just love looking at these ships moving around the water. So it's always fun for me. Was this the one moving really, really fast? Look at this thing just speeding along the water. This is the thing that chased me away. Did I already mention this? That originally I love this thing. Speeding along. PT boat. Obviously it hasn't spotted us. I wouldn't know that, so when I use the external camera, I separate what my captain could know from what I know. So I wouldn't use that kind of like out of game information, out of character information to, with my decision. I'll probably stay submerged for a little while because I'm not sure what that is. But over here, I was pursuing what I thought was a convoy. It was 2 merchant ships. They ended up heading into this area, and I was actually chased away by a patrol boat, like what we just saw. And I didn't know it said warship. You don't know if it's a PT boat or not. I probably could deck gun one of those. I have killed PT boats with my guns before. Even your anti-aircraft gun is effective at sinking those, so not worth it. Obviously, they're like 50 tons or something, so it's not like a significant good thing to do. But yeah, it's still fun to do. So I think I want to do a Cylon Hunter 3 playthrough. Let me know what your thoughts on that are. I hope that I've given a concise, well, somewhat concise view of everything going on the channel. Let's see, are those things moving far enough away? What is your estimation for that 6, which is actually not very far in terms of daytime. Daytime can probably be spotted from 8 kilometers away, no problem. So we'll wait a little bit longer for them to dissipate. Yeah. Anyway, I guess that's everything I wanted to cover, so I'll bring this little video to a close. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any comments about any of the series going on, leave them here. I'll answer any questions. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.